Hello, this is PamelaTopjian, and today we're going to talk about 10 ways to help you on your own self-discovery journey. So, self-discovery is ongoing and it's deeply personal to each person. So, all 10 of these might not be something that resonates with you. Maybe just use a couple of them or whatever feels right and true for you that you feel might help you. But I also encourage you to try something new. And that's part of self-discovery is trying new things and getting out of your comfort zone. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. But the first one is journaling. I talk about journaling a lot, I know. So there are so many different ways of journaling, right? We can use different prompts, and I'm going to give you a few of those. And I also am going to put this same information in a little short article or blog post on my website. Um, I believe that there's a transcript that comes up under the videos now on YouTube. Um, but we all know about, gratitude, a gratitude journal, thinking of something every day that you're thankful for. And it might be hard at first for some of us that are really going through something and we feel like, we're not where we want to be in life, or life isn't really going in a direction that we would hoped that it would have. It's hard to think of, what we're thankful for every day. So in the very beginning, you can be thankful for your breath. Thankful for your life. If there's anybody in your life at all that is, feels like they're, somebody that you love or somebody that loves you, be thankful for them. Be thankful that they're in your life. And you can write these things down, and you'll find that once you start journaling, that it might be hard at first, but after a few times, just like meditation and a lot of other things, the more you do it, the easier it becomes and the more you get out of it. But a couple prompts that I have that will help you in self-discovery is, writing out what you think about the first thing when you wake up. That brings about self-awareness, to be aware of your thoughts. That is mindfulness, to then write them down. Sometimes we wake up and we're just on autopilot and you just go through whatever your normal daily routine is, whatever you normally do when you first wake up. A lot of people, it's grabbing their phone, and automatically you're disconnected from yourself by doing that. So I would encourage you to wake up and self-reflect for a little while. Whether you want to journal or not, whether you feel like this is an exercise for you or not, I still would encourage you to, as soon as you wake up, whether it's by an alarm or not, um, sort of take inventory, sort of self-reflect on, what am I thinking of right now when I first wake up? Did I just have a dream? Am I having some feelings coming up? Maybe I don't remember a dream, but maybe I have a feeling. We've all heard of waking up on the wrong side of the bed. That just basically means you're grumpy, you're still still sleepy and tired, whatever. You wake up angry, maybe even. Um, just being aware of that can really help you. So, and then the same kind of thing just before I go to bed. What am I thinking of right now as I lay my head on the pillow? What am I thinking? How am I feeling? All of that is going to be really helpful, I think, in your self-discovery journey. So I had to plug that in, sorry. And I won't edit this out because I'm still learning about editing and about doing videos, so they'll get better eventually. Um, so another journal prompt is, what's my biggest fear? It helps to any kind of question that you makes you think about yourself and your own feelings and thoughts on something is part of self-discovery. So, what is my biggest fear? And you can just write that out at the top and then just whatever comes up. The first thing you think about, don't ever think when you're journaling, don't ever think about, is somebody going to read this? who is going to read this? What are they going to think if they read this? None of that, because then you will stifle yourself, you know. Um, what activity makes me most joyful? Or in whose company am I feel the most loved? In whose company am I the happiest? You know, you can learn a lot about yourself by the people around you that make you feel good, you know, or that you feel good when you're around. Um, what activity or topic do I lose myself in? You know, so painting, writing, those are two things I love to do. Spending time with your pet, spending time with your spouse or your partner, um, you know, or, you know, like I love hypnotherapy. I love to discuss hypnotherapy. I love to discuss animals. I love to discuss pets, any animals. Um, you know, I love to discuss painting, artwork. I love books. I love writing. Um, you know, I love connecting with the trees and with nature. Any of those kinds of things that you know you love, that you can lose yourself in. Like it just seems like time goes by really quickly when you're talking about these things or when you're doing these things. So that's the kind of thing too that you can write down to learn about yourself. And even though you can say, like, I just, you know, baffled off a list of things, but if I started writing it down, more of my thoughts and feelings would come out of me just through the act of writing. So I highly encourage journaling if possible. Another thing too, like I know for me, like I've got arthritis in my hands. I couldn't sit down and write in a journal anymore. I would have to just type it all out. So another thing is asking yourself who you admire, whether it's a famous person or just somebody that you know. Who do I admire and why? Again, you can learn a lot about yourself by, you know, thinking about the people that you admire, whether, like I said, whether it's somebody in your life or somebody that, you know, is a more famous person or something. Ask yourself, you know, or start a journal prompt with what challenges have you overcome in your life? What was the most challenging time in your life? Or, you know, what achievements have you accomplished or goals that you have accomplished in your life? And those kinds of things can really help you understand yourself better if you start writing them out. A lot of times I think we don't um, give ourselves credit for our achievements and the things, the goals we have accomplished already. And that can be, um, you know, writing it out can sort of remind you, you know. So then number two, that was a lot of time on number one. But number two is prayer or meditation. So there is a quote that says, prayer is speaking to God and meditation is listening to God. There's a few different people that have been credited with this quote. So I'm not going to say who said that because it's kind of, you know, there's a few different people that have been credited with that quote. But you know, prayer can be a way to communicate with the great beyond, with the source, with your guides. Um, it doesn't have to be a religious thing. It can be more of a spiritual experience or more of an inner guidance experience, or even, you know, like praying to, you know, your God, your higher power, your the source of all, whatever words and whatever beliefs, you can still pray. It's not just a Christian thing, it's not just a religious thing. But of course, if you do pray to God or any other religious deity or anything like that, that can also be a way for self-discovery. And you can ask, you know, for clarity, ask for understanding, ask for, you know, even ask in your prayers or even your meditation, who am I? What is my purpose here? You know, bring about clarity. those kinds of things. And in meditation, it's more of introspective rather than asking or reaching out to something or someone or some any kind of energy rather than reaching out. It's more introspective. And of course, that's what, hypnotherapy is about too, is going to your subconscious mind to bring about your answers for yourself. Um, so So yeah, there's also guided meditations, obviously. I've got a bunch of them on my on this YouTube channel, guided meditations, guided visualizations, all of these things that help you to go within yourself are going to help you in your self-discovery journey. So number 3, personality assessments. So online, of course, everybody knows the Myers-Briggs type indicator, um, and then there's the Enneagram and even love languages tests. There's all kinds of these kinds of personality tests online anywhere. So, online everywhere, whatever. One thing I want to say is not to feel like it's set in stone. You can take these tests and then through life experiences over time, things might change. As you live and grow, learn and evolve, things might change in your personality or your love language even. So taking these tests, just even answering the questions and self-reflecting on the questions that are asked in these tests, even doing that is going to help you to learn about yourself. So those can be fun. I wouldn't take them really seriously, uh, and know that they can change. So you might want to, if you took one of these tests and you really liked the test that you took and you thought it gave you great insights, I would suggest, taking that same test maybe a year from now or so. Or if you've taken one of those tests a long time ago and you just kind of are, this is who I am, this is what this personality test said, but it's been a while, I would suggest taking it over again. So, number 4 is your values. So, one of the exercises that I have done in coaching with clients is writing out all of your values. What is important to you? What values are important to you in your life? And writing those out. And then try to narrow it down to 3 or 5. 3 is probably better than 5, but narrowing it down some. And then looking at those values that you have determined are most important to you in your life, then you can ask yourself, how am I showing this in my life? How am I living my life according to my values? What do I do on a daily or weekly basis that shows that these values are things that are important to me? So I suggest, I think that's highly, of course, it's highly personal, but it's definitely something that can really help you understand about yourself and not only how you feel, but then your daily actions as well. It's like, am I really living up to my own values, my own, what I feel is important in life? Am I living up to that? There's a book, and it's not really about values as much, it's more about spirituality, but there's a book by Richard Seaman, and it's called Spiritually Reliable. And I don't know if it's called Spiritually Reliable or Am I Being Spiritually Reliable, something like that. But if you put his name in or even Spiritually Reliable, because his name is pretty common. And if I can find the book actually like on Amazon, I'll look for it and I'll put the link below. But I think that's a great, that's the kind of thing, what's important to you? And then is my life showing that? And then, and then of course, what changes can I make to make sure that I am, living up to my values or that I am spiritually reliable? So, number 5, creative expression. So this can really help you to understand what truly fulfills you. What is your, you know, what do you have in your life that helps you to express yourself creatively? It brings about great balance in your life. I have found this in myself. When I first started painting in 2019, um, I was looking for a creative way to express myself creatively. I was starting to, get a little bit anxious, a little bit depressed, just a tiny bit. I had already been through um, a great breakdown in my life. I've talked about it several times on podcasts and I think a little bit in here. But I've been through a big breakdown, healed, made it back up to a good place in my life. And then I was starting to feel a little bit, it hadn't been too long, 2019. So um, I think I had that breakdown, that major breakdown in 15 or 16. Yeah, and lasted about a year or 2 years. So 2016, 17, kind of coming out of it in 18, feeling pretty good in 2019. But I was starting to feel a little bit of those inklings, and it's like, what is missing in my life? Life is so great. I was so happy, except for my nursing. I was still nursing. It was just before I quit, though. But it's like, what am I missing that I have control over? What is missing in my life to be balanced? And I realized I didn't really feel like I had anything that was helping me to just get lost in something, helping me to just, express myself creatively. And I'd always admired artists and art of all kinds, really, but definitely paintings. It's important to me. Like I have, um, you know, famous paintings, obviously prints, canvas prints, up in my house. So I've always really admired art anyway. So I thought I'm gonna just get a little kids, watercolor kit and start painting and just doing it just for fun. And regardless of whatever comes of it, it's not for anybody else, but just for me. And I really loved it. And I ended up doing a couple years of painting, went to acrylics, and some of them were pretty good and most of them were not. But, some people even wanted to buy some of what I painted. And so that was kind of like a little bit of, it made me feel good that other people liked what I was putting out there. But I haven't painted in a little while, to be honest, right now. But that really helped me to feel more well-rounded in my life and to feel more balanced in my life by sort of stepping out of that comfort zone and doing something that was expressing myself creatively. But it doesn't have to be an art form. It can be dance, it can be singing, which of course I guess those are art forms too, right? Um, but, any way that you can find yourself to be creative or get those creative juices flowing, I think that is a big part of self-discovery. So another one, number 6, shadow work. So Carl Jung is the first one who kind of came up with this concept of shadow, our shadow selves, recognizing, you know, things that about ourselves that we have repressed or we have denied. And it takes being really honest and open and candid with yourself to realize these things. So that's a good thing also that you can journal on. Um, what are your fears? What are your triggers? What are perceived negative traits that you have? Definitely helps you to understand how they have impacted your life, where they came from, self-discovery. But there's an exercise that you can do for shadow work, and that is think of somebody that kind of you really just don't like them too much. Is there anybody in your life that you know, you just can't stand that person, or they rub you the wrong way, or for whatever reason, you don't like that person. Um, Whoever you thought of right now when I said that is who I'm talking about. But So write down the traits about them. What is it about them that you don't really like? What is it about them that rubs you the wrong way? Write those things down and then try to narrow it down to 3 or 5 and just a few. Narrow it down to the things that bug you the most about that person. And then you want to look at that list and say, this takes, again, being really open and honest and candid with yourself, which of these traits, are part of what I do or part of me, which of these might also be traits of mine. And, you know, you might be surprised at that. Which traits of this person really bother me the most? And then, which of these traits are things that I try to deny about myself or that are really triggering for me? And then, look at why those things are triggering for you, or why were you denying that you were also doing that same thing? That's looking at the shadow self. And it's really fascinating. There's so much more to it, but you can look that up too. And I'm sure there's books as well about Carl Jung's shadow work. So that's huge. I think that's huge on self-discovery. Really looking beyond the mirror, beyond the surface, right? Um, your deep, dark parts of yourself, in the shadows, right? So number 7, therapy or counseling. Of course, there's all kinds of therapy and all kinds of counseling. So, find what fits for you, what resonates with you, what feels right and true for you to do in your therapy or counseling. And like I had already mentioned, hypnotherapy is something that's great for reflecting within yourself. Even just getting some counseling around whatever, fears you might have, whatever triggers you might have. If you're feeling a little bit like disconnected from yourself, I mean, if you clicked on this video about self-discovery, then you might feel that you don't know yourself, or you might feel disconnected from yourself. And that's something you can bring up to a counselor or a therapist. Because I know for myself, when I went to therapy, I felt a little bit like, I don't even know what I'm going to say, and they're like, well, what did you come for? I'm like, I don't know, But it's so funny to think of that now because there was so much, but I didn't know what kind of like was the main thing that I could say I'm here for. So it's perfectly fine to not have a major trauma or a major thing happening in your life and go to counseling or therapy to say, I would like to know myself better. I feel disconnected from who I am at the core level or at the soul level. It's perfectly fine to go to a counselor or therapist. That you don't have to have major traumas or major life issues, you know. And, most of us do have some trauma in our background. And you could also say, that I had this traumatic experience, or I have some traumas that I thought I dealt with, and I would just want to be sure that I kind of, have worked through them and processed through these things in my lifetime. So that's perfectly fine to say that when you go to a counselor or a therapist. So, number 8, new experiences. All of these things that I've said so far can be new experiences, can be things that get you out of your comfort zone. And that's really what I'm talking about. New experiences, things that get you out of your comfort zone, something you haven't tried before. I'm not saying going crazy, like I am very, I don't do anything that is, that scares me in the way of my safety. So, I'm not going to go on a motorcycle ride. I'm not even going to go on a carnival ride. So, and getting out of my comfort zone to me doesn't mean doing those things, but trying to express yourself creatively in whatever form that interests you, reaching out to a therapist or a counselor, or even some alternative, or complementary, therapy or modality. So I do have, that just reminded me of, um, I do have a new feature on this channel called Holistic Connections, Conversations with Holistic Practitioners. And if you're a holistic practitioner and you would like to share what you do, please contact me and let me know. But I only have 2 episodes up right now, at the time of recording this. But trying out some of those different modalities, whether it's hypnotherapy, whether it's something else, trying out some of those things can be getting out of your comfort zone and just seeing how it feels, seeing how it goes, seeing how it works for you. And not everything is going to be good for everybody, so that's why getting out of your comfort zone once in a while and seeing how something different feels for you, can be a very good part of your self-discovery journey. So, let's see, number 9, reading and learning, continuing to learn. There's lots of self-help books, books on psychology, philosophy, spirituality. All of these things can help you in your personal growth, help you in your learning. And you might, read something that is, self-help kind of a book, and it didn't really give you much help or it didn't have much insights from that book. But later on, you realize, like weeks down the road, months down the road, even sometimes years down the road, something might have planted a seed, in your brain or in your heart and your soul from that book. And then later on, you're like, oh, now I get it. Now I get it, you know? So, it's not all, if you read a book and you feel like, well, I didn't get anything out of that, don't be so sure. Just because you didn't get it right now doesn't mean that you won't later. Okay. Oh, so also, also memoirs, biographies, excuse me, memoirs, biographies, reading about other people's life's journeys can help you to see if you resonate with anything, if you understand how they feel, if you understand what they're going through, or just seeing things in a different perspective from another person's life story. I think that's really interesting, and I think that really can help you on your own self-discovery journey. So let's see. So number 10, spiritual exploration. So again, about being well-rounded, being balanced, I think you have to have that other part, and it can be religious, it can be spiritual, it can be anything in between, anything, it's all very, very personal. And I do have another video on, how to find what's right and true for you on your spiritual path. And it gives you a few, just like this, a few tips, a little list of a few things that you can do that will help you. But you can look at different religious practices and beliefs. Just learn about them, learn about the different religious beliefs out there and see how that makes you feel. See how that feels for you, deep inside you. Does that resonate with you? Does something not feel right about that? Does it feel like, yeah, that makes sense? So just explore different religions. If you are not really into exploring religions, think about, you know, um, explore different spiritual beliefs that have nothing to do with religion. So it's just about exploration, educating yourself, and learning about different things. Also, again, journaling, your journal prompts for spiritual exploration, who am I? What is my purpose? Things like that. Do I, just ask yourself flat out, do I believe in a God? Who is God to me? Do I believe in anything after this life? And then writing those questions out, it sounds kind of crazy, but you might be surprised at what you yourself might write in response. And I know I've mentioned this before somewhere, but if you write in your non-dominant hand an answer to a journal prompt, you might be surprised. You might get something that you totally didn't expect from that. So you write out in your dominant hand the question, and then you use your non-dominant hand to write out the answer. And you might really be surprised what comes up. So, if there's anything, so that was the 10. So if there's anything in this list that I mentioned that you would like me to expound on, whether it's in another video or just answer a couple questions, please write it down below. And yeah, and so we can explore any of these further, because this was just a very basic little list here. So there are other videos that I have. If you look in the playlist of self-help and self-care, that playlist, I believe it is, there's going to be other videos like inner child work and mirror work, things like that, that will definitely be helpful in your self-discovery journey. So speaking of other videos that I have on this channel, so I do have mostly a lot of guided visualizations and meditations. And I know that in some of them, there is an ad that would pop up, and it can be very disturbing and disruptive. And I realize that I have no control over that whatsoever. So I just want you to know that, it's not me trying to make money off of ads by putting them in the middle of any videos. A creator cannot make any money off of their videos by putting ads in them until after I think it's 1,000 videos or 1,000, or, certain views, certain subscribers, something like that. It's a numbers game. So, but you as the listener, the watcher, any of the videos that you like, that you watch, that you listen to, you can have control over the ads by having a premium subscription. So if you have a premium YouTube subscription, then you can have control over the ads. And if you listen to a lot of guided visualizations or meditations on channels that are not so large, like my own right now, then you might want to get rid of those ads. I have no idea how much it costs. I don't have a premium subscription myself, but definitely something to look into if that's been really disruptive for you. So just wanted you to know that I don't have any control over that right now. And once I do have control over it, I will turn off ads on the guided visualizations and meditations. So thank you so much for being here. If you liked anything in this video, please like it, please share it out. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Thanks.